As you could have told from the thumbnail, in this video we are going to look at the traffic AI in this game, and specifically into a couple of tests I did over here to explain a couple things I have noticed during my various builds. Now, they are all obviously just for testing reasons, and there are a couple of very interesting little bits in here. Now, let's start with our first test, and this is this very interesting looking highway construct over here. Now, what I tested over here, just to give you a bit of an idea, I have some traffic spawners that you can get over the dev menu in order to spawn these vehicles here without any further target. It's always important that you have some on the other side too, and I wanted to make them go from point A to B, and obviously checking how they will take the road. Now, if you've listened to the dev diaries or just in general to the changes that they made, it's not always about the shortest possible way, but about the smartest and quickest possible way. So, you know, we could argue about the shortest, and we can possibly also argue about the quickest. However, what exactly would be the smartest way, I can't really distinguish, but I get a better idea now after all of this. Now, if you look at this one over here, usually there's one track that is potentially the quickest, and that is this central line over here, following that one, wonderful kind of truck over here. There is a bit of an issue, and sometimes this left lane over here is the quickest, and this is already the first part. Even though this is longer and including a little incline and stuff like that, it is potentially quicker, specifically if you're a truck, because that curve over here will slow you down significantly. So it also has to do with how they can spread the speed. Now, these two lanes are somewhat of the most favorite ones of the cars, but I can't really distinguish. Even running at higher traffic, they will always pick one. The only one that is mostly ignored is the complete right one, which seemingly is also the longest and has a very heavy dent at the end, including that tunnel section down here is also not super often used. That is this kind of split that comes across this one over here. So what we can learn from that is that they will look into the shortest, but also when looking into the shortest, they will also look at how much speed they can carry through there, almost like a good racing driver. And specifically when it comes to trucks and so on, they favor long sweeping curves rather than the smaller cars that would also use the other ones where they have a bit of a more heavy curve in there to slow down and then, you know, accelerate afterwards again. But all over, they will potentially use all of the roads, which is a good sign. I was a bit fearing that they will always take the same route. Now they didn't, and that's a good sign. Let's move over to some more simplistic tests over here. Now, this little zigzag curse, or curse, it is a curse, the whole traffic system is a curse, but was a little test to see if a rounded curve or a relatively almost 90 degrees turn is favorable by them. Now, I couldn't really see that they always go to the right one. They will favor the one with the more sweeping curves, and this kind of continues the pattern from over here. That said, it's very weird, especially buses and longer trucks also take that other route, which is a bit confusing, maybe because it's the on average slower speed. That is something I could take as an explanation, because they will not go as fast as the other cars overall, and so they will automatically choose the slower one. But you can also tell in terms of traffic flow overall, this is already a good tip to not use these 90 degrees turns, especially not on quicker roads, because they will always cause the cars to slow down significantly, while these more sweeping turns will have a better effect on your overall traffic flow. If we continue from over here, the next bit is the most simple one I did, and this one is interesting. I made one that goes lower and up. It's both exactly the same. One is 10 meters up and 10 meters down. The other one is 10 meters down and 10 meters up. And it seems overall from testing, there's a huge majority using the down-up variant over the up-down variant. So that is something I found interesting to see, because I don't know if they take the overall altitude or kind of usable height difference into account, but specifically in this case it's interesting because the shorter way most obviously is the raised version over the other one, because the next turn and so on you will be on the better lane. But as you can tell from the footage over here already, they do pick the lowered version a lot more over the other one, which I found very interesting. So that was the first little bit that was very interesting to me. I can't really tell why, but so that's that. Just ignore that mess over here. But I needed a bit more traffic for the next test, and this is the maze, as I call it. And the maze is Actually, this one over here was a bit confusing because it shows that the traffic AI isn't as stupid as you might think it is. I created this mess over here, this maze as a mess, and they are actually taking the exact route I pre-built. Now, I did pre-build one specific lane, that is the best one. However, there are some options given which shouldn't be too much longer. They shouldn't be longer at all, actually, if you have more traffic like that. But interestingly, they won't change another route even if they start piling up, which to me was very confusing. However, in this case, there seems to be lacking a variant, and the variant over here is the change in turns. Now, I always use the 90 degrees turns. I always use the same lane. I always use the same kind of, tilt or whatever. So everything is the same, except that there is one perfect lane that is the smartest way to go, the one I pre-built. Now, the fact that they don't alter from that unless it's all stacking up, and then that was super interesting. As soon as everything was piling up and everything was going crazy, they started using another route, but then everyone used the other route. And after I changed a tiny bit, they went back to their main route. Now, just to show you, these are all one-way lanes, as you can tell. And specifically, if there is stuff piling up over here, you could just go straight and then rejoin over here. And when there's a traffic jam over here, that would be smarter. But you could also do this on various other roads over here. For example, you could just go that way over here and then rejoin over there, or even rejoin lower there. So in terms of speed, especially if you're like a smaller car and you've got a truck in front of you, that would be the smarter way to do, or at least that would be what a German driver would do. But at least for me, this solved at least my question if they will search actively for alternate routes. Or let's put it other way, they do, but how aggressively they do. And I think this answered not at all. Like, you need to do a lot to force them into another route. As long as there is an optimum route for them available, they will not alter from that, which is a bit sad to see. I was hoping that they would go and check for other routes as well. Not sure what happens if I changed the location or the destination a little, but that for me was very interesting. To further fix that image and to see if that works, I created something else, and this is another different way to approach the length of a road. And you can see over here I made this very zigzag course over here, and what I did at the beginning is I tried to measure exactly the same length, but this one turned out to be longer anyways. And here we have like a huge difference in altitude. Like, in terms of fuel consumption and stuff, that would be a nightmare compared to this one over here. So it seems like they don't really take that into account. At the beginning, I couldn't make them go this upper route here at all. So I brought in a couple of slower streets in between to make them slow down a little, to see if that changes a little bit of their preference. Spoiler, it didn't. But then I added a couple of shortcuts over here to make it almost the exact same distance. At least with the in-game measurement tools, I could distinguish that this is almost the exact same distance they need to travel. And now they start picking alternate routes, but very much now it's equal. And as soon as I would change something, and actually let's just do that to show you exactly this specific case. If I get rid of this one over here, and then I would bring this just a tiny, like a tiny bit further to the back over here, you'll see that the traffic soon will rejoin, favoring this left-hand stuff over here, if the game is not now tricking me into the typical showcase. But usually they should now start going more into the other route. It always takes like a minute until they noticed, but you know, at least that was my test at the beginning. And so you can, well, actually they still take this route relatively often, which I am a bit amazed by. Okay, let's see if I made a mistake and shortened the other one a little bit more. So let's leave it this way and see if they still take it. So maybe that's down to the fact that the overall traffic has increased. But it's interesting to see that they now pick the same route, because they haven't done this previously. Maybe it just takes a while now until they figure out that this route isn't as clever anymore. Okay, well, they still do it. Okay, so what the heck? Okay, never mind this one. It's just causing some shenanigans over there. Obviously, that's a test file, so please ignore that shadow doing some disturbance over here. Leave me alone, please, okay? Oh my god. So I'm there, whatever. Now, I think I made the point, and we can now see the wonderful hurricane, tornado destroying some part of our city. Overall, this test for me personally was very interesting to see two things. Like, I mainly took out two things of it. The first one being the traffic AI in general, what regarding pathfinding, isn't as stupid as it sometimes seems in the game. However, and that is the second most important thing I found out, I think the aggressiveness or the likeliness of taking an alternate route has to be increased in general to vary the game a little bit more, or like to vary a little bit more what the traffic can do. So at the moment, it seems like, yes, there is a bit of an alternation, a bit more than in the first game, but still not enough to make them really pick a super alternate route to, you know, to first of all make sure that the traffic flow in general is better. That should be a target in general, but also secondly, to just pay attention to what is going on the other street. So that is something definitely that needs to be improved. But other than that, I was positively surprised by the way how they found different routes and how quickly they adjusted to changes in the routes. And yeah, I quite like this thing here. I don't know, it looks like an organism. I don't know, I just like it. Anyways, I hope you found this video at least a little bit interesting in terms of your own traffic problems you may face. I will make a different video to how to solve your traffic issues in a bit. I'm still testing the best variants. I've seen other people doing the same. I looked into it and found some good things in there, but I also found some things that didn't work out for me for several reasons, and I'm trying to find the best overall solution for your traffic issues with roads, with public transport, and also with some other tricks that I came across. Now, thank you so much for watching as always. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of content, and if you want to see more City Skylines 2 content or tutorials, just check the channel or sub to the channel to be notified whenever there's something new. Thanks so much, have a good time, and goodbye!